Philadelphia is a blue-collar city. It is a working city. It is a very passionate city. It's a gritty city. It's a grind city. It's a city where you got to get up and go get it.
The murals of Philadelphia speak a lot about what the city is. Hardworking, the passion, the brotherly love. Very different from any other city.
We are a city of many different neighborhoods, but our teams allow us to come together. I'm a Philadelphia sports fan. I have never seen this city react to a team the way they did in 2001.
And for the first time in 18 years, the Sixers are going back to the NBA Finals.
We were the sort of team that fought for every inch, and I think that was the unique relationship that we had with our fan base here. As a blue-collar sort of team that's representing a blue-collar sort of city.
That's what Philadelphia rallied around, and that's what the country found when they looked and they watched the Sixers play. And it was Iverson at the center.
AI was perfect for Philly because a lot of people can kind of see themselves in him.
He did it his way. He played with tenacity. He was fierce. He was never scared.
I was the guy for my city. The only thing I can think of when I think of Philadelphia is love.
You have to remember that the Sixers were in a dark age. They had some bad years. They had not made the playoffs. They were basically a team that was winning games in the upper teens.
I inherited a team that only won 18 games, but that was the beauty of it.
The first pick in the 1996 NBA draft goes to the Philadelphia 76ers.
That was the opportunity to take a franchise that was at the basement level and dream big.
We got the best little guy in all of basketball. Spectacular. Are you kidding me?
Well, it's not just in Philadelphia that they think Allen Iverson will be the number one pick. It's pretty well conceded everywhere. First of all, the question to you, Allen, should you be the number one pick?
I think so. I don't think any player in the draft should feel that he shouldn't be the number one pick. So I definitely think I should be.
With that number one pick, we had the opportunity to pick someone who was so exciting, a revolutionary, someone who played ball like no other player had or ever has.
Big smile, 1, 2, 3, there's the one.
And that would put a new identity on the losing 76ers franchise.
Iverson has Jordan. The crowd is into it. Allen shake break. Yes, sir! Allen Iverson becomes the first rookie in NBA history to score 40 or more points in 5 consecutive games.
Iverson was in many ways seen as a savior.
The franchise was handed over to me when I was 21 years old. I wanted to be put in a situation that could help me build a franchise, turn us from losers to winners.
During my second year, we had to make a change. The level of just winning attitude wasn't there.
I feel great in introducing to you the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, Larry Brown. Yeah!
Larry Brown left Indiana in 1997, and at that point in time, he had established himself as a coach who could turn around franchises.
I know the right way to play, and I'm not afraid to tell the players to do that.
I always thought that Larry Brown carried the holy grail of basketball. You have to remember, he was coached by Dean Smith, who was coached by Phog Allen, and Phog Allen was mentored by James Naismith.
My philosophy in basketball was to play the right way. Coach Smith, he used to allow me to write on the board, play hard, play smart, play together, have fun. And then I asked it'd be nice if we defended and rebounded. And he smiled and said, if you do those things, you have a tendency to play the right way. I just was enamored with him and his coaching style. Larry had total control, and he gave me the option. He says, you can come be my top assistant, or you can come be my general manager. So I chose the front office role. When Billy and I got the job with the Sixers, we knew we had to make some changes to play with Allen Iverson.
Time to get down.
In a 2-year span from when Larry Brown took over, he helped get rid of everyone else except Allen Iverson.
We just had a group of guys. We tried to fit the way Allen Iverson played. He's an extraordinary talent.
I think he took a lot of responsibilities away from me and just let me be free, let me play, let me do what he felt that I did best, and that was create and score, and put me in positions to make my teammates better.
People loved Allen Iverson all across the spectrum.
Can you see it in my eyes? I'm alive. Can you see outside?
He probably was the toughest, the most
passionate,
the most electrifying,
most relentless basketball player that we had ever seen.
We are watching a young basketball player turn into a legend.
The correlation between hip-hop and basketball was shown to the world through Allen Iverson.
I'm the rap AI because I cross you over.
Crossover move.
Freeway crossover from a squatter to a six.
Iverson, he breaks his ankle.
He made it comfortable for guys that have braids.
He's playing with passion, his power, his energy. The emotional leader of this team.
You know, with the chains, the headbands, the tattoos.
Allen Iverson had a cultural impact that's unmatched. He was the first player that was unapologetic.
But the greatest thing about him was his heart.
What a hustling play by Iverson, and a tremendous effort. I mean, fantastic.
He feared nothing. He feared no one.
This is what the great ones do.
Every time I got on the basketball court, I felt that I was the best player.
When AI has it going on.
I gave everything I had.
When my career is over, I'm going to look in the mirror and say I did it my way.
I'm the king.
They saw things differently. Larry Brown was suited down every day. He was well groomed. Allen Iverson, baggy pants, the corn braids, tatted up, the whole bit. Allen Iverson knew Larry Brown was a great coach. Larry Brown knew Allen Iverson was a great talent. But the way in which they saw things and they wanted to go about things were polar opposites.
Coach Brown was a tactician. He never wanted us to skip steps. It was ABC 1, 2, 3. And he expected perfection. He was firm but fair.
We're supposed to be fronting the post, Randy.
If there was ever one pet peeve that guys had, was that he stopped a lot. And that's a lot of his teaching style.
We're letting him throw it right in the block.
When we tried to scrimmage, for me, that was the best part of practice. That's all I ever want to do. You know, like a kid waiting for Christmas. I just couldn't wait to go up and down. And then once we got the opportunity to go up and down, he would stop every play. So it wasn't really an up and down. It was always like one possession practices.
And then he commenced to showing all 10 guys what they did wrong on the court at that one time. So it was frustrating. It was hilarious, but we learned so much from him. Larry Brown was a teacher, and Allen, once he got his motor going, he did not want to stop. I mean, he could have practiced for 5 hours if it didn't stop.
I got frustrated because sometimes his practice habits were different.
I wasn't big on drills. Coach was definitely big on fundamentals. My frustration came from doing all of those things.
There were always a lot of little skirmishes between AI and head coach Larry Brown. When he missed a practice, a shoot around before Boston, I had to go up there and sit him out.
I didn't come to practice because I was out all night. You know, I hang out all night all the time.
Down in Miami, he missed a shoot around. Had to go sit him out.
Today, Allen Iverson suspended by Sixers coach Larry Brown for tonight's game. A series of events, Jack, culminated by Iverson's absence.
He had to realize that there were consequences to not practicing the way Larry Brown, the head coach, wanted it.
As a team member of the organization, Allen was challenging, and he would push the envelope every moment he got. He would test you and see if you're going to push back.
The key comes in, and Iverson begrudgingly goes to the bench.
Allen Iverson hated. He loathed being taken out of games. He would be pissed.
Iverson showing the frustration of sitting next to his coach.
I coached Allen 600 games, and every time I took him out twice a game. He MF'd me. Based on my background, I kind of wanted to fight, but my coaches would tell me, no, that's just Allen.
Iverson tells Larry Brown, keep me in the game.
You can't coach effort, and that's what I brought night in and night out. I gave so much of who I really am and who I really was on the dance floor.
Allen wanted to play 48 minutes, and Larry didn't want to play 48 minutes. And Allen could understand, if I'm your best player, you should never want to take me out. And Larry's mind is, you are my best player, but I want to be able to rest you so you can be my best player. And they never could have those conversations.
I remember a lot of cat fights because he got on me about everything.
Iverson was fined at least 30 times last season for various offenses.
Larry had been trying to get him just to conform, to do things that we thought would be in the best interest of the team to succeed, and he was just rebelling.
I'm tired of everybody talking about my relationship with Allen Iverson. I wonder what your relationship would be with any employee that you might have who doesn't choose to come to work on time or doesn't choose to come to work at all, and then says he's upset with the way he's being treated.
Over 4 years, there was some issues that kept building and building. It came to a head, before the 2000 and 2001 season.
We just felt like, all right, it's not going to work. So let's see if we can use him as the biggest piece of the puzzle to build a team that we think we could win with.
Breaking news on a pretty significant trade.
Larry Brown was demanding that Iverson be traded.
I've let too many things go.
One of the game's best scores, the whole system crumbled.
I woke up scared every morning.
The Sixers are absolutely crazy. Like, you don't trade somebody like Allen Iverson.
We definitely didn't want him to get traded. AI was Philadelphia.
It will never happen. Iverson's going to be a Sixer forever.
It was over. He was gone. Not being disrespectful to Allen, I thought we would have been able to move on if we moved him.
When you look at my frustration with Allen, it probably started day one. I don't think he ever understood the responsibility he had to take his talent to where it should have been.
Larry had the final say in the control in the organization, so at the end of the day, that's what he wanted to do.
It was just a difficult time for me. I didn't want to go anywhere, and I had no control over it.
It was 4 teams or 5 teams and 18 or 23 different players were involved.
I did not want Allen Iverson traded, although I gave my proxy to Larry Brown.
More than anything else in the world, I want a ring. I want a parade for the fans of Philadelphia. That's what I'm here for. That's the only reason. And if Coach Brown believes that trading Allen Iverson will take us to the promised land, so be it.
It's easy for someone to convince you that moving me might be the right thing to do because you want to win it so bad. You know what I mean? So even if we got to give away AI, that's when we have our opportunity, a real opportunity to win a championship.
It's embarrassing to hear that an organization think about trading that franchise player because he's tardy to practice. Somebody that plays every game like it's my last.
Allen Iverson wasn't saying that he was perfect. He wasn't saying that he did everything right. What he was saying was, I'm worth this headache.
It was a frustrating time in my life because it was so loud. If it had no merit, then I felt like you wouldn't hear it as much. But then my kids were coming home, their classmates were saying, tell your dad don't leave, and their teachers, and my wife had to deal with it, when she went out in public.
Detroit, they were renouncing guys because they were signing Ben Wallace and Chucky Atkins. And so now we needed Matt Geiger to waive his trade kicker. It's going to be about almost $1 million that he was going to forfeit. So once he said no, that was the end of the trade.
I'm not for sure if the city of Philadelphia would allow Pat Croce or Larry Brown or Billy King to walk out of that city if they'd have traded Allen Iverson.
Looking back on it, it's probably the best trade we never ever made.
Sitting here right now, thank God it didn't happen.
I wish I could have been more mature at that time and had a woosah moment, you know what I mean, to think instead of just reacting. But that's the way God wanted it.
Of the top teams in the East, you guys, will you be one of the few that remained intact? Talk about the balance of power in the East. Do you think it's shifted at all?
There were reporters in town, there were writers in town that said, the Sixers they've gotten worse. They haven't, all these teams in the Atlantic Division have passed them because they didn't make one move.
Before the season, you can always say things shift, and on paper things look great, but you never know until the season starts. One major injury could change things, but everybody's talking about the West, which is great because maybe somebody from the East will slip up and win this whole thing.
My main focus was, we got everybody back. We didn't make one trade, and I wanted to see how we do.
The season starts today. Whatever happened before is over. It's a non-issue.
There were a lot of questions surrounding the Sixers of 2000-2001. What kind of chemistry were they going to have? Because of all the drama over the summer and the fact that Iverson was going to be traded and then wasn't, would the relationship between Brown and Iverson last? There were clearly a lot more questions than answers.
I think they're going to have a hard time coexisting because anytime you go into a relationship and two guys already don't like each other, that's going to put more scrutiny on them than normal. If they win, nobody's going to care. If they lose, they're going to make a big deal out of it. At least they do in Philadelphia because the press there is evil.
This is going to be the most important year of my career because, all eyes on me this year.
Allen Iverson came out with vengeance on his mind, but it wasn't against the opposition. It was against the Sixers organization that even thought about trading him. And he played like it from opening tap.
Tyson to the basket once again. Allen Iverson off to a superb start. I go hard on the baseline. Yeah, you never thought you'd see the kid shine.
Everything that went on in the summer was worth it to have that tunnel vision, to have that focus.
Some big buckets in this young season coming from Iverson.
It was like a new start. I knew it was going to be a special year.
Couldn't achieve it, they ain't want to see the boy recreating it, so no.
Let's start to an MVP season for Iverson.
Allen was playing at the highest level anybody in the league at that time could be playing.
What a move by Iverson. I don't think for his size a tougher guy in the NBA than Allen Iverson.
I wanted the world to know that they made the right decision by believing in me and sticking with me, and felt that we could win with me being the catalyst of everything.
Iverson scoring for the Ducks. The Sixers go to 3-0 on the young season.
He played a style of play that you had to surround him with people that recognized his strengths and were willing to fit in to allow him to be Allen Iverson.
Philadelphia has stormed out of the starting gate, winning their first 4 games.
The beautiful thing about this solar system was we had the sun and Allen Iverson, but all the other stars were circulating in perfect harmony.
I was just ready, and I knew my guys were ready.
They will go to 5-0 for the first time since 84-85.
The team was playing a lot more fluid, and that resulted in Eric Snow averaging a career-high 15 points per game.
I don't see a point guard in the East that's playing any better.
Larry had the vision of getting a bigger two guard that could play point, and then move Allen really to the two guard.
What a play by Eric Snow!
My role was to run the team, basically be the coach on the court.
What a leader Eric Snow has been. He's talking about leading by example.
He was the ultimate point guard as far as sacrificing his own accolades for the betterment of the team.
Sixers, the only unbeaten team in the NBA at 6-0. Eric Snow leads for McKee. Yes! And a foul!
Aaron McKee, he could play point guard, he could play two guard, he could play small forward, he could guard anybody.
Aaron McKee just would not give up until he finally got to 2 points.
My role changed from night to night. I knew what the team wanted and needed me to do.
The Sixers have won 7 straight games for the first time since March of 91.
We were a very physical team, and they loved hitting people and being aggressive.
The defensive skill that we're seeing from Larry Brown's Sixers has just been awesome.
Sixers again locking all windows and closing all doors.
8th straight win without a loss. They've got a real team out here on both ends of the court.
With George Lynch and Tyrone Hill, these guys were workhorses. They weren't backing down for anybody. They were tough as nails. They really went after it, and they were good, solid players.
All muscle for George Lynch. Tyrone Hill, a mountain of a man once again tonight.
All the players knew their roles and played them to the best of their ability. That was where Coach Brown was so wonderful.
Larry Brown, what a master. Won everywhere he's been.
9-0 for the first time in franchise history.
Larry knew we needed an anchor back there defensively, that if we were going to have mismatches with Allen's size, we needed somebody to block shots, and so that became Theo Ratliff.
When you play with Allen, you need a center that isn't worried about getting shots. His only concern was figuring out a way to help the team win. Theo was all about that.
Theo Ratliff, the king of denial.
Once you get your name known around the league for being a defensive player, now the intimidation happens from the beginning of the game.
Ratliff there to just say no. Not once, but twice.
You got wind real early that this team could go to the NBA Finals.
Philly is 10-0, their best start ever.
That year, we had a team. They all knew their jobs, and they all did their jobs and did it well every night. We just had a lot of belief and confidence that we could win.
We became a family. We locked in, and it was all about us.
We all knew it was going to take both on the court and off the court sacrifices from everyone to reach the NBA Finals.
If anybody will believe that everything was peaches and cream that whole season, you're out of your mind.
It's one thing to not have a trade go through, but the problem still exists. Your coach and the best players still aren't on the same page.
The catalyst for Philly's latest drama came last Friday when Brown ripped into his team following a lopsided loss to Dallas.
There's absolutely nothing the 76ers could do with Nowitzki tonight.
Coach Brown came in and was like, I'm frustrated. We like, he's frustrated? We dominating the league. We beating everybody.
Those Allen Iverson, Larry Brown, old moments, some of those resurfaced.
And I got a phone call that Allen and Larry had a blow up. They were adamant. They didn't want to be together. They were, really upset. And there was a big meeting.
The meeting took place this morning during the 76ers shoot-around at their practice facility between the head coach, Larry Brown, the star player, Allen Iverson, and the team president, Pat Croce, who brought two passionate personalities together.
Well, everyone was ready for practice, and before it got started, I asked Larry Brown and Allen Iverson to come into the conference room, and Billy King, our general manager, came in and sat down on the table a little further away.
They went into a room, and the room was actually right next to the court. And so you could hear everything. It's almost like we stopped practice and everybody had their ears pinned to the glass and we were just listening to the conversation.
Larry didn't want to be there, and he felt animosity toward me that I would make him come sit down with a player. Allen wanted no parts of this guy sitting on the other side of the table, and it was ugly.
All you can hear is curse words going back and forth. Well, F you, well, F you, F you, well, F you.
There was just a lot of screaming and hollering, as you would expect from both of them.
I started by saying, I am not firing him, and I am not trading him. Now we got to make this work, and we're not leaving this room until it does.
Pat put his foot down. I never seen Pat like that.
And it got to a point where I had to get really, really ugly because neither one of them were moving out of their posture of, get me out of here. First, I started with Allen, and I said, imagine you as the head coach, and every time you take your key player, your star player off the court, he you. He gets in your face. How would that make you feel?
I used to get frustrated with him and telling him the impact he had on young people and how important it was for him to act the right way, to say the right things, because so many people looked up to him and wanted to be like him.
Just being young and, bullheaded and stubborn at times, I didn't understand that Coach, wanted what was best for me.
For somebody like me who had so much respect for the game, the challenge was to get to Allen to play like he was capable of playing.
I basically wanted to do the right thing and wanted to do what he was asking of me, but couldn't quite get it right for whatever reason. I knew what my heart was, and that's what made things so frustrating. And it was just a frustrating time for me.
And then I switched over to Larry. I said, Coach, Allen told me that every time you say sit down or you just nod over to the end of the bench, it reminds him of the white prison guard say, sit down, mother. And Larry Brown, he couldn't believe it.
I don't remember that part. That just made me really feel like I had a huge hole in my heart because I would never think that way.
I think Larry's biggest frustration is Allen didn't allow Larry to fully coach him. I think Larry wanted to be able to coach and be able to reward him for things. When Allen would just come in and say, yeah, I can't practice today, he took that ability from Larry to coach.
I was a cause of 99.9% of that. Now his, what is it, 0.1 might have been major, but my just overrode all of that.
I had to prove to Larry Brown that Allen Iverson had the same passion for basketball that he did, and to Allen Iverson that Coach Larry Brown really cared about him.
I was kind of relentless to think that if there was something I think you needed to work on, I wasn't going to let up. And that can get old. That can be hard. But my frustration with Allen was I didn't think he did all the things necessary to play at the level that I thought he could have.
All I was trying to do was get Coach to understand and believe that I was trying to play the right way.
If I have done a better job of making Allen understand, then we might be talking about the greatest player who ever played the game.
something, I get a chill right now, something magical, mystical, graceful happened between the two of them, just staring, saying nothing. Alan got up, walked around, Larry stood up, and they hugged.
The result of that meeting where we hugged each other and everything was kumbala, I would hope that that meeting, ended up that way, the way Pat saw it, the way Billy probably saw it. But I always felt, with all the issues we had with one another, there was a connection.
After a while, those guys come out, and it was like nothing happened. He came out energetic and flying up and down the floor, and Coach Brown came out, grabbed his whistle, and began to start coaching, and it was like nothing happened. And it's like being in a family. I think sometimes you need to have conversations, and you need to talk through and work through situations and get past it.
After that, it made it so much easier for me to deal with when he really did get on me. You know what I mean? Because I used to always try to psych myself out and be like, oh, he just at it again. You know what I'm saying? So it worked in so many ways.
Larry Brown and Allen Iverson were on the same page. I mean, the same page in the same book at the end of the meeting. It was great.
He told me how he felt. I told him how I felt. And, I think it's just time for us to move on.
The bottom line is I understand him a lot better. And I think that was really the most important and productive part of the meeting.
The casualty of all that was, from Larry Brown's point of view, that Pat Croce, by having that meeting, put Allen on par with Larry as a coach. And I think Larry felt from that moment he never had the same power he did as a coach. And I think Larry harbored that in the back of his mind for the rest of his time in Philadelphia.
I needed some time off. We had a terrible loss, and I didn't think I handled it very well. And, I wanted to just sit back and think about it a little bit. There was some concern on my part about whether I wanted to continue to do it.
Coach Brown, he coached hard. He coached every day. He probably needed a mental break from everyone and not just Allen Iverson.
There's been a lot of speculation about a meeting before the Chicago game, and there was a blowout in that game. Is that the reason Coach Brown took the time off?
Nah, just for him to handle his personal business. This is family. For some odd reason, it got to you guys and the writers and everybody else when it didn't supposed to. But we stand behind Coach. We started this together, and we want to finish this thing together. And I'm glad that Coach Brown's out here tonight, coaches like he's supposed to.
Managing two of those egos, it was work, but I knew that was part of my job. Was deal with it, get them ready for the next game.
There's a lot of things that transpired within the team that season and the seasons leading up to that season that could have easily sent things south if it were not for the presence of Billy King in Larry Brown's ear.
They wanted to do whatever it takes to win on the court. They just didn't know how to communicate each other's philosophies, how to do it together. As good a year as it was, there was rocky moments throughout the year. But I think they both needed each other, and I think they both pushed each other to be great.
Welcome to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., as the city plays host to the 50th annual NBA All-Star Game.
Allen Iverson was voted in as a starter to the All-Star Game for the second straight year.
I was just excited about the opportunity, first and foremost. I knew that I was going to play harder than anybody, and that's including the guys that were on my team as well.
This was a team that, had been together for a long time. They started out 10-0. They go 41-14 at the All-Star break. Think about that. That's an incredible record.
Because the Sixers had the best record in the Eastern Conference by the All-Star break, Larry Brown was given the honor to coach the Eastern Conference All-Star team.
Being selected to be the head coach of the East team was an amazing honor.
This game means a lot to me. We can make a little difference today by just trying to play the right way. Every day to be great. 1, 2, 3. Play hard.
Theo Ratliff, due to his play, was chosen as a starter for the Eastern Conference All-Stars as well.
It's a young kid's dream. Everybody wants to be NBA All-Star.
Unable to compete due to injury,
selected to his first All-Star team, Theo Ratliff.
Here's Theo Ratliff, and he's having perhaps the best season of his career. However, unfortunately, he breaks his wrist and he's unable to play in the All-Star game.
Dirk Nowitzki kick out the leg, I trip over his foot, and I come down just to catch myself, and I end up breaking my wrist. It became a story you guys just don't want to hear. It definitely put a great damper on that All-Star game.
Larry had been talking about Dikembe Mutombo earlier during the year because he knew if we would get to the finals, we may have to play a Shaq. But I knew the team was playable, so I said, Larry, we can't make a trade. Once Theo got hurt, I was concerned because I knew that he needed surgery. When will he get back? This may be our one chance to get to the finals. And Dikembe, I thought, would give us that opportunity so we didn't miss a beat.
I think it was a special All-Star game. It was in D.C. Coach Thompson was there, and I got a chance to play in front of him.
3-on-2, Iverson to the reverse.
Thrilling the home crowd here as he went to Georgetown.
And then I got a chance to play with Dikembe. So, yeah, it was definitely epic.
Mutombo has 22 rebounds in this game. Larry Brown, I knew he fell in love with Dikembe in the All-Star game.
You got a foul to give and one timeout, all right? You go here, Allen. You go there, Stephon.
It was a competitive game from the beginning to the end.
Allen Iverson with a cold-blooded three.
The East comes from 21 down.
I think we now have the MVP candidate of today's game.
I felt pride in the fact that he won that award. And then when he called for me, kind of blew me away, to be honest with you.
Where's my coach? Coach Brown. Is he around? This is a tribute to Coach Brown, my teammate, my family, my friends. I'm out here playing with the greatest players in the world.
Something that I remember and cherish forever. Every time you see it now, get emotional.
That really became the first time when the country saw how much he had changed, especially when it came to his relationship with Larry Brown.
It was a special moment that I appreciated, but then in my mind was, can we get the trade done?
I think one of the things that really bothered me was when I went into the locker room and, the conversations with Dikembe that Coach Brown was having. When I saw the dynamics of it and then the rumors and stuff started, I was like, man.
At 41-14, the Sixers have the best record in basketball, and they lead the Atlantic Division by 9 games. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? The Sixers trade away All-Star center Theo Ratliff, who is out with a broken wrist, to the Hawks for Dikembe Mutombo and forward Rashawn McLeod.
Wow. I was hurt.
I was shocked. I didn't see it coming.
None of us wanted Theo traded.
We were all sad to see Theo leave.
It was definitely one of those mental moments that I should have had counseling for at that particular time, because to go from being here just at the highest height of jubilation of you think the sky is the limit, having that snatched away, it was crushing. It was crushing.
In my heart and in my mind, I was thinking about my loyalty. I just remember it being a rough time.
I felt that Dikembe didn't fit the mold for who our team was.
We're just hoping to position ourselves in the playoffs and give ourselves a chance to compete and win a championship. And we figure with Dikembe, we would have that opportunity.
When you lose a close friend, in a trade, it's bothersome, but we all understand the professional aspects of it. Our general manager and Coach Brown and those guys were just trying to figure out a way to get us better, to, be able to compete at the highest level and give us a chance to win a championship.
You had to get to a point where you don't have no choice but to keep going. You know what I mean? It's not like, we're bringing in somebody that is not great. I mean, Dikembe is all-time great, Hall of Famer.
These opportunities to get a player like him never really happened.
I didn't like it, but I understood it. In their eyes, Dikembe Mutombo elevates our confidence that we could get out of the East. And then he is a bigger body to go up against Shaquille O'Neal because everybody and their mother knew that the Lakers was going to the finals.
Oh, the kid is going to stop you. I wasn't intimidated. They built teams to try to stop me. I think it's a compliment. I think Abdullah was just a piece of puzzle that was missing, and I'm glad that I'm there.
I love Theo as a guy. He had just finished building his dream home in Philadelphia area. He closed that day. He had surgery that day, and we traded him that same day. So you feel, as a GM, you feel terrible that it happened, but Dikembe did buy the house.
Now you got to pick up and move. You got to move your kid. You got to move your wife. Everything kind of shifts and change, and you just kind of, like I said, I always relied on my faith and knowing that, God was going to make everything all right.
I mean, it's the pinnacle of his career. And quite frankly, it ended up being exactly that, because from then on, Theo didn't really play at a high level because his body broke down.
Moments ago, the big fellow was cleared to play in this ball game. We expect Dikembe perhaps to be in the starting lineup.
He came in and gave us everything he had, and that was enough.
Mutombo didn't light the world on fire, but he was a player that you could place into that system the way that Coach Brown had configured it, where he was mostly going to defend, set screens, and rebound.
But it's more or less just his presence, his great experience. He'd been in the playoffs.
Once Dikembe came, we went through some kind of growing pains, and we struggled. I know one time we had lost 5 games in a row, and the city was pretty hard on us.
For the balance of the regular season, they only went 15-14 the rest of the way. This was with Mutombo as the starting center.
It wasn't a smooth start, but we finished the regular season with the #1 seed in the East.
As they entered the playoffs, Sixer fans weren't sure what to expect.
A lot of teams feel they can win the NBA title. The Indiana Pacers, they're the 8th seed. But not only do they feel they can win this series, they feel they will.
Of course, of all opponents in the first round of the 2001 playoffs, it had to be the Indiana Pacers.
I had nightmares about this team, dreaded playing them. They were so talented, veteran-wise. They had everything that we couldn't beat.
They did have a psychological advantage over the Philadelphia 76ers from the standpoint that they were able to beat them in most instances.
The Pacers had eliminated the Sixers in the second round each of the last 2 seasons, both times actually on the Sixers' home court. So when the Sixers were scheduled to match up with Indiana as the 8th seed and the Sixers as the 1, there was some concern.
The Pacers were that hump that we could not get over.
Like all season long, the Philadelphia 76ers have ridden the brilliance of one Allen Iverson. The first 30-plus point per game scorer in the NBA, the first since Michael Jordan. Everybody else has played alongside with Allen Iverson. Right now, a lot of those key performers are banged up. Will some of those guys be able to come and give him the support that he desperately needs?
If we can get past them, that's when we win our championship. I know I actually felt like that.
Pacers down by 18. They have been dominated pretty much this entire game.
Game 1 at home. The clear mission is to get off to a good start in a best-of-5 and beat Indiana.
The Sixer defense has been brilliant here this afternoon.
But then their offense just falls apart, and Indiana starts getting hot.
Miller, three. Good. Reggie Miller from downtown. The Indiana Pacers down by 18 now with a 2-point lead.
Reggie Miller always scared us. Reggie Miller knocked us out time after time.
It's coming down to the final shot, and they've got the ball. And I remember telling some of the guys on the team that you can't let him come off where he hits plant his left foot, because once he does, it's over.
Miller gives the Pacers the lead.
If I never had a here we go again moment, that was it.
Reggie Miller knocks it down, and this place is absolutely stunned.
I was so heartbroken that I can't believe our entire dream is evaporating before my eyes.
Let's go.
What was that final play?
2.9 seconds to go.
I had Matt rolling back to the ball, Jermaine went to the goal, and Aaron coming off Matt, and Eric sprinting. But, we threw it to Allen quickly, and Reggie made a good play jumping out.
You got a big lead like that, and then to lose it at home in front of your own crowd was ridiculous.
At this point, it's best of 5. It's not best of 7 in the first round. And I remember going to the conference room by myself, and I said, we got the best record in the East, and we're going to lose in the first round. And so I was scared.
I'm a solution guy. You try to figure out what you needed to do better and how you could win. And if you're the right kind of coach, you should take responsibility for games that you lose, especially if you're going to blow an 18-point lead. I got with our staff and I made players understand that we would be better prepared the next time we played Indiana.
I think this was a great coach game from my coach. Coach put in so many things to help me tonight. You wouldn't believe it, to see the type of stuff that he counteracted with.
There's the double. Open is Snow. Makes them pay.
You just wouldn't believe the turnaround that we had.
A spectacular game for the NBA scoring leader.
I'm going to remember this game for a long time because I just learned a lot more about Larry Brown tonight as a coach.
76ers to beat the Pacers 116-98.
It was just his genius, just knowing how to be the best, and that's what he was. He was the best.
I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs. This whole series is something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life because this team brings out a lot in Allen Iverson, and I think this team is helping me to be a better player, than I already am.
His team leaves Conseco Fieldhouse with a 2-1 lead in the best-of-5 series.
Game 4 in Indiana. It came down to the final seconds where the Sixers held a 3-point lead, looking to eliminate Indiana.
Rose raises up, shot in the air, it's a 3. It's off to the right, and the Sixers have put the Indiana Pacers to bed, baby! They win this series 3 games to 1.
To get by them basically sent the message to the Sixers, we ain't the same old Sixers. This is a different day.
We slayed the dragon. We had problems year after year with the Pacers, and we finally got over that hump.
In 2001, after feeling the disrespect of being champions and not getting a lot of respect, we said to ourselves, when we get to the playoffs, we're going to run through everybody. We were on a mission.
For the Lakers, they make it a sweep of the Portland Trailblazers.
We definitely came in focus. We definitely had the blueprint. The second series was Sacramento Kings.
The Los Angeles Lakers are now 7 for 7 in the playoffs.
Just never worry about any team on the East.
It's the Eastern Conference semifinals. Allen Iverson and the Philadelphia 76ers taking on Vince Carter and the Toronto Raptors.
Forget Toronto. It's Vince Carter, the Michael Jordan of the era.
Keep the highlight reel rolling. How in the world does he do it? Game after game. That's one of the best you will ever see.
I'm a big Vince fan. Vince, to me, was as good a player as I've ever seen.
This was one of the best one-on-one matchups in NBA playoff history. Allen Iverson and Vince Carter leading their teams in a way that was unprecedented.
War.
Iverson from downtown. Sensational move by Vince Carter.
War.
Iverson has tied his all-time career high with 54 points. One of the great virtuoso performances in NBA playoff history.
I mean, he was incredible tonight. But we're not going to go away. We'll be back. Vince Carter went crazy.
Here's going to be Carter, 50.
Perfectly matched fight.
Iverson stole the show Wednesday. Tonight, Vince Carter's night.
He was taking you to town, you guys couldn't stop him. You're right. You saw the game just like everybody else.
One is saying, you got me today, I'm going to get you tomorrow. The other is saying, you got me today, I'm going to get you tomorrow.
From beginning to end. All-time war.
Been tit for tat, back and forth. Anything you can do, I can do better.
The battle between Allen Iverson and Vince Carter in the playoffs is something I've never seen before.
It was epic.
Competitive purchase of Allen Iverson and Vince Carter.
Vince Carter was unbelievable, but the supporting cast was tremendous. And it was the same thing with us. It was like both teams got their superstars going at it.
That's real big, right? An athlete whose intensity
is a joy for the world of basketball to behold. Congratulations, 2001 NBA MVP, Allen Iverson.
Brown did what he could to construct a team around him that was going to make Allen Iverson the best possible basketball player he could be.
Every time I come in this gym, in this arena, I hear my favorite song. Y'all voices. So it's time for y'all to play that song. Let's make this noise and get this party jumping.
For Allen to get MVP at center court right before the tip-off, huge advantage for the Sixers. Like, look out.
Iverson hits another two. Allen Iverson, 8 of 11 from three-point range, has 52 points.
Right off the bat, we want to hook up with Allen Iverson on a night when the Philadelphia 76ers planted one on the Raptors, 121-88 to take a 3-2 lead in that series.
How's Larry and you been? Obviously, y'all got along well. But how's he help you as a player and mature as a man this year?
I just respect him so much as a coach, but now I respect him more as a person because of our relationship. We used to arm wrestle a lot. Now, we talk with each other if we have a problem. And now, it's great.
It was frustrating that Toronto was a formidable opponent.
The Toronto Raptors have even the best of 7 at 3-3, sending it to a Game 7.
Setting the stage to Game 7 was the fact that Vince Carter was graduating at the University of North Carolina. He went to the ceremony the day of Game 7. And of course, the controversy was gigantic.
The story's already been written. If he plays well, the graduation didn't bother. If he stinks up the gym, well, he shouldn't have gone to graduation.
There was 2 seconds left. The Sixers are leading 88-87. The Raptors have the ball.
Everybody knew Vince Carter was getting the ball.
When we came out the huddle, we were all having a dialogue. Okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to switch? We're going to stay with our man. And I had Vince to start. So I said, look, I'm staying with him. And Tyrone Hill came over to me and said, look, if my guy come over and set a screen on you, let's just switch it. I said, no. I said, I got him. He was like, no, let's just switch it. I said, okay, we'll switch it. I was like, but just contest. I said, don't foul or whatever.
And it came down to one shot.
Murray has it. Carter trying to get free.
They run the play. Tyrone man comes and sets the screen on me. Ty switches out.
Vince shot that ball, and I was like, this is about to be a heartbreak.
Everything just stopped, and it was just going in slow motion.
There was a time when that ball was in the air, you were sort of like, man, this can't be happening.
And it takes a week for the ball to finally hit the rim.
And it hits the rim, goes up, and bounces out.
Horn goes off, we win the game, and it was just like, man, we did it.
City was on fire. We were all having fun, and it was a very enjoyable moment.
Just the excitement when I looked around the stadium, and the excitement of the people, the excitement of the team, and the excitement of everybody that was a part of the franchise, and it all led to that moment.
A lot of good buzz around this basketball team.
The hottest in the NBA right
Philadelphia maybe playing better defense than anybody else in the league.
Maybe their best chance to win a title.
That year, the Sixers were the talk of the NBA.
The Sixers actually ended up winning 4 out of the 6 annual awards that the NBA gives out after the end of the regular season.
Allen Iverson, through his heroics, he's the MVP.
Could everyone please be seated? We're about to begin.
He was recognized as the most valuable player in the NBA, and seeing how far he came and how far I came, to be honest with you, it was pretty special.
In my career, I have one regret, not taking his constructive criticism like I supposed to.
We went through a lot this week, and it showed a lot about Coach Brown and myself.
I think Larry Brown's willingness to move him is what ultimately provided that spark, because that was the last straw.
Now I can look in his eyes, and he can look in my eyes, and we see the same thing. We got the same agenda.
Once I bought into it, that's when everything changed. I went from a good player to an MVP.
Dikembe Mutombo won the Defensive Player of the Year award for the 4th time in his career.
2001 has been a blessing year for me. I was traded to the great team, And then now, getting to the point where I have to win a Defense Player of the Year.
Aaron McKie won the sixth Man of the Year, becoming the first Sixer to do so since Bobby Jones.
Wherever there was a hole, I always tried to plug it in. And I knew that my team needed me to do those things on a nightly basis. And so I take great pride in that.
And Larry Brown won the Coach of the Year that season.
I think of all the years I've ever coached, I think this has been the greatest experience I've ever had.
Everybody knew how great he was. His nickname was Mr. Fix-It. You got a bad, desolate situation, Larry Brown was your guy.
I've always talked about playing the right way, and this team does that. I think anytime you win an award like this, it's a reflection of what your team does. With me as a coach, you don't become a head coach without all the people that have influenced your life. The biggest thing about that award, one, Coach Smith came. I was told I was supposed to come here. Oh, my God. You know, he was so important in my life. I played for him after Coach McGuire left at North Carolina. I knew I wouldn't be in that position, you know, had he not come into my life.
What a great honor it is, and deserved honor for Larry Brown. Larry is the most enthusiastic guy. He's a born coach. I just am happy for him, and when they called me to come, I wanted to be here for this big moment. He's had so many big ones and some more coming ahead. It's all Larry Brown Day.
Sorry.
There's no sorry.
You know, he's been my mentor for so long. Talk about all the great, great coaches that influenced our sport. Being recognized that way was pretty extraordinary for me.
We became one of the few teams in NBA history to win that many awards.
The Sixers clean up on the hardware, and it really just added to the fans' expectations that, hey, this team could win a title.
LA looking to continue to fly high. Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals is next.
2 years before that, the Spurs, they swept us. So we kind of wanted them in the playoffs. We kind of wanted to show them that, hey, we're not little kids anymore.
It's like a man against boys here tonight.
And we definitely wanted to pay them back.
The Los Angeles Lakers running the table through the first 3 rounds as they defeat the Spurs.
That was our pre-championship to a championship.
As far as the Lakers are concerned, bring on the Bucks or the Sixers. Game 7, the home team has been dominant, although in the last several years, you see a road team win a Game 7 like last season.
The city of Philadelphia is counting on us to pull this out.
There was no question that Milwaukee was a bona fide threat. Glenn Big Dog Robinson was a scoring machine. Sam Cassell was a warrior. That brother wasn't scared of anything. Ray Allen would retire as the all-time leader in three-point field goals made.
Me and Ray been rivals since college, so that Eastern Conference Finals was one of my most memorable moments.
Iverson points up the 3.
Iverson puts on an absolute clinic.
Allen Iverson, brilliant in Game 7.
The basketball world was totally against Milwaukee because everybody wanted to see Allen Iverson in the finals.
Rebound Mutombo. The 76ers are going to beat the Bucks and advance to the NBA Finals. 1:35 to go.
The celebration was kind of building through the fourth quarter as the final minutes and seconds finally ticked down.
Iverson runs down the floor. He puts his hand to his ear. Allen Iverson stamps his name in the annals of greatness. The 76ers are the Eastern Conference champions, and they're going to Tinseltown. The Sixers beat the Bucks.
The Sixers winning was just great, great energy for Philadelphia.
Now presenting the 2001 Eastern Conference Championship Trophy.
This was a team that was built, with all of us, and we all kind of came through it together. We all felt like this was our moment.
Talk a little bit how you two have come together.
I love him, He made me so much stronger, as a person and a basketball player. And he helped me all through my career ever since he got here. And I'm just glad, to play under Coach Brown. He's a great coach. He's the best coach in the league, best coach in the world. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to play for him.
To me, they had merged as one.
You got a little player like Allen and guys like Aaron, guys with character like Eric Snow. Good things are going to happen.
The word I would use to best describe the epiphany, per se, that Allen Iverson and Larry Brown reached with one another was respect.
I love y'all, man.
No matter how much they annoyed and frustrated one another from time to time, the respect never wavered because it couldn't.
Hey, ho, 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 ho! This coach first time, man. Let's make it a good one, baby. Let's make it a good one, man. 1, 2, 3. Play on!
In the first round, I climbed a water tower, and all of the city went nuts. And I said, listen, we make it to the finals, I'll climb the bridge. All Philadelphia got all fired up and came to the top, and it was a Go Sixers beat LA. It was wild. The whole city was behind it.
Philadelphia was going crazy in the best possible way.
We knew that it had been almost 20 years before the Sixers have been back to the finals or won a championship.
That was the best part about it, too. Not just being the finals, but being the finals in a city that was so thankful.
The whole country was about to see what we were all about as Philadelphia fans.
And so the stage was set. The Lakers were a mighty team. They were well rested.
I don't know if it was anybody who thought that we were going to win that series at all. But because of the grittiness of the 76ers, we went into that like we're going to win.
By the time we got to the Lakers, that style of play had us hobbling into that series.
It was very physical brand of defense, and it took a toll on their bodies.
I broke my ankle before the finals. I could play, but I never got to the level that I was at before then.
We were so badly beat up. They had two monsters in their prime, the most dominant. And to me, the second best player to ever play the game, and Kobe Bryant.
Even Michael Jordan will tell you that you're looking at the present and the future.
We had so many weapons. You had the nuclear weapon, and you had the atomic bomb in Kobe Bryant. And you had a lot of grenades. Big Shot Bob, Rick Fox, Brian Shaw. We wanted to be the first team to go 15-0 and win a championship. And we were there until game one.
This one, Dr. Jack, could be for the ages. The Los Angeles Lakers could become the first team in history to run the table in the playoffs. And now they come in a prohibitive favorite against Philadelphia.
It was so right up my alley, being the underdog. In life, on basketball court, you know, all in one.
The Lakers are playing at their top level. Philadelphia will try hard, but they won't succeed.
Let's get dirty.
The heart that they had all year, they took it into that finals. They weren't looking at us like these are the Lakers, they can't be beat. They were like, okay, they got their 5, we got our 5, we can win.
Play as hard as you can, leave it all over the court, and we get it done. 48 strong. 1, 2, 3, play on. Get dirty, baby.
Boy, any basketball is played, I get nervous. I mean, for some reason, I just felt that this was it. Like it was just a feeling. If you win this one, you're going to earn it.
They got a dogfight on their hands if the Sixers can hang with it.
To play against Shaq, you need 18 fouls.
If Shaq gets real low, somebody got to come off.
And that's the only hope you have when you play the Lakers when Shaq was there.
I wanted to play with strength. I wanted to play with ferocity. I wanted to dunk in your face.
This is the most dominant force we've ever seen in our lifetime.
Look out, cookout down below.
Dikembe did a great job. God bless him, because he did.
Can't stop him on that.
But that was Diesel in his prime.
They somehow were able to stay with the Lakers.
They cannot put out the fire that is Allen Iverson. Here he comes with 3 ball. Yes! He's too hot, people.
There is no game plan. Can't stop a guy like Allen Iverson. He was a bad boy.
Blistering first game performance in the NBA Finals.
The Sixers were hitting some big shots at the end of that game.
The Lakers being pushed to the limit. Shot clock down to 5.
In those situations, you want to get the ball to AI, get the ball to your best scorer. I believe T. Lue did a good job of denying him. So you just got to make a play then.
Eric Snow taking it to the rim to tie the game at 94.
Eric No, where there's a will, there's a way.
So this is a knockdown, drag-out affair. They're heading into overtime.
I think the Lakers are starting to realize that this Philadelphia team thinks they can win this game tonight. They're not here to celebrate the Lakers. They're here to beat them.
The Lakers led by as many as 5 points in overtime, and it looked like the Sixers' chances to upset the defending champions on their home floor were coming to a screeching halt. But then Iverson found a way to provide another scoring spurt.
Iverson tearing the Lakers apart.
It was just part of one of these insane games that you're watching him have in probably the biggest stage he's ever played on.
Iverson, bothered by Lou.
Iverson against Tyronn Lue. Baseline right, he backs up, he fires 2 balls. Got it again! He's way too good!
Jack, we're up 4. We can beat these guys.
He steps around Lue and drilled it!
7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead in the water.
I can't tell you what the feeling was like. I can't duplicate it. I was in the moment. I just know he fell in front of me. I don't know how I even thought about stepping over him like that. I was just playing basketball.
I remember I'd look at all the coaches and we'd all kind of smile because we'd never seen anybody do something like that before and probably would never see somebody do it again.
AI dropped 48 in game 1. He seemed to be sending a message. You're not going to break me. I'm going to break you.
I knew that we may possibly lose one game because this team led by Allen Iverson and anchored defensively by Dikembe Mutombo. You had to beat them, and you really had to beat them up in order to get a win because they were not going to stop.
76ers with the ball, and they have a 2-point lead.
I knew what I could do on the basketball court, but I also knew what my teammates could do. I also believed in them so much.
3 on the 24.
I had to get the shot off quick, and I knew I couldn't stop and shoot a regular jump shot with my broken ankle.
You could take your sweep and sweep it away as the Sixers shock the world with a Game 1 victory here over the world champion Los Angeles Lakers.
Everybody already counted us out, and we're not going to act like we won it all right now because we still have some more business ahead of us.
After that game, Phil came in and everybody was talking and pointing fingers, and he said, "Shut up." And everybody was quiet, and he said, "I want you to listen."
We ain't do nothing yet. We got a long way to go. They put the rooms up, though.
We could hear through the rooms that they were down there celebrating.
Ain't gonna do none of that. Come on, guys. We came too far, man. Love you, baby.
To play from behind in a series all postseason, does this feel different to be down 1, to have lost the streak, to be back on your heels for the first time?
We're not going to make excuses for this loss. Allen Iverson's a great player. He had a great game. He had a great performance. They played with a lot of enthusiasm. It's time to create another streak. It's time to get back to business. Like I said, it's now a series now.
This is the first must-win situation they've had in the playoffs, and we're going to find out what the Lakers are made of.
Going into Game 2, the adjustments we made were give me the damn ball.
Agile, mobile, and starting to become hostile.
He is a force.
Then you got another guy by the name of Kobe Bryant saying, "Give me the damn ball."
What a shot by Kobe Bryant. He was tipping.
At that time, we were basically the faces of the NBA. I think about Kobe and what he brought out of me.
Iverson on the crossover.
Oh, that's too good.
That made some epic, Iverson-Bryant battle.
Iverson's on fire. They've got to put out that blaze. Pretty move from Kobe Bryant. He has been spectacular.
Calm down, guys. All is on them. They're supposed to win. We ain't even supposed to be here.
Game 2, we actually had a chance to win. We missed a whole bunch of free throws.
Allen Iverson missed both of them at the free throw line.
And we ended up, losing that game.
We'll go back to Philly 1-1. And the First Union Center is going to be crazy on Sunday night.
We competed really well in Philly with a number of guys not able to play.
Game 3, when I fouled out, I was a little bit nervous, but not a lot. When one of your main guys goes out, somebody has to step up. Somebody has to make a big play. And our guy that made a big play, he has a nickname, Big Shot Bob.
They were the better team. They were well coached. When you have Kobe and Shaq and some of the pieces they had, you got to be at the top of your game to even compete with them.
And that's where Rapid victory here in Game 3.
For the rest of the series, it was like the magic carpet ride came to a screeching halt.
Game 4 and 5 were blowouts.
Time has run out on the 76ers.
We were on the mission. We wanted that second championship.
Back-to-back titles for the Los Angeles Lakers.
I think like all Philadelphia fans, although we didn't win a championship and we didn't have the parade that I dreamed about, the excitement in that journey, it really was a fabulous playoff run.
To have an opportunity and have a shot, it was just something that I cherish and remember for the rest of my life.
It's been a spectacular season for the most valuable player, Allen Iverson.
When the last game was over, I was so beat up, and I wasn't crying because we lost. I was just in so much pain, and I was joyous because it was all over, that long season and my style of play. It was tough.
Allen had carried the team offensively the entire year. He was committed to winning basketball.
Maybe in my mind, the greatest athlete to ever play the game.
Rarely do you see a 6'1" guard being so as dominant as Allen Iverson was. And to me, in this basketball world, Allen Iverson was a superstar. This team struck a chord with Philadelphia, the fan base, because of Iverson and how hard they played.
Y'all boys ain't no joke, man. I love y'all, man.
Most magical thing about it is the team that, was going to give everything they possibly had every time they stepped out on the court. And as a coach, that's the greatest compliment you could have about the team you were fortunate enough to be around.
Everybody was accepting of their role, but we knew Allen was the guy, and we had to support him as best as we could and look out for him, and he looked out for us, and that made us a wonderful team to be a part of.
That 2001 team, they won everything but the chip. We won every award, won the Atlantic Division, won the Eastern Conference. Allen won MVP. He won the MVP of the All-Star game, Dikembe's Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron's sixth man, Larry's Coach of the Year. And the only thing we didn't get that year was the chip. When a team is not expected to do something, and they do something that people doubt that they can, that's what makes it special. Even though they didn't win a championship, they will always be a special team.
Looking back on it, I'd rather not. And it's selfish, but I would rather not get there, and at all to get there and lose. I wanted to see my teammates and my coaching staff. I wanted to see their faces and their reactions. I wanted it for them. But I did all I could. And we did all we could, so.
I know Allen's heart. His heart's terrific. I know that every time he stepped out on that court, he tried to win for us. So the finals were no different. The finals were a time that he wanted to give us something that he knew that we could cherish for life.
I hold it very dear the years I spent with him. And I'm kind of disappointed that he couldn't have finished this career with me. Certainly made me a better coach.
I owe a lot to him and my teammates and the rest of the coaching staff. You'd think that it'll last forever, but it's unfortunate that it don't. If guys could listen to anything that I'm saying, please don't take it for granted, man, because I did. I thought it would last forever. Once I started to listen to Larry Brown and take, that's when I became an MVP. That's when I became an all-star. That's when I made first team All-NBA. Once I got the message from him and I followed his lead all the way.